and every one of you. Just to remind you of my name is Dattavara Dasa. Here I came with my lovely wife Lakshmana Devi Dasi, my last son Angira, and we have the maestro Giri Govardhan Prabhu. Right? Okay, so before we start, let us read let's say the invocation prayer to the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. The reason we recite this mantra is so that the mystery of understanding Bhagavad Gita will be revealed to us via Guru Parampara. Okay? So please clap your hands and close your eyes and bow your head. Om Jnana Timirannahasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamadyam Dadati Swapadantikam Bhandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayaivacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, louder please. Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Just to repeat the first mantra, I will explain the English to you. Om Jnana Timirannahasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Amilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the touchlight of knowledge. To such a spiritual master, I offer my obeisances unto him again and again. So I didn't choose anything in particular to come to speak to you guys this evening, but I want to have, since we have a few of us here, how many of you for the first time coming? Everybody was here before in the previous class. I didn't see your face.
No, you mean like this period of time that you came? For or like in general?
She came here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So everybody is familiar with this. Okay, so I want to start off by asking a basic question. So we'll have an interactive class. How many of you here are Hindus? Raise your hands. Okay, so this is good. Because actually, when you ask a question like this, it means that once someone is situated in the platform of being a Hindu, that is a little bit in the mode of goodness. Right? Well, I want to ask a question. How many of you who are Hindus are proud to be a Hindu? Raise your hands. You're proud to, okay, let me actually share it. Okay, so my question to you now, if you are proud of being a Hindu, I am asking this question to you. What is the meaning of the word Hindu? Anyone who raised their hands just now? Can you be proud of something and then don't know why you are proud? Who? Yes, come here. Come here. Come here. This is good. Patricia, just shift from and let's just sit here. Right. So, if you are proud of being a Hindu, why are you proud of being a Hindu? Can you tell me what is the meaning of being a Hindu? Are there exceptions for that? Anybody? If you are proud, you must know why you are proud. So, which one of you here who raise their hands and say that they are proud of being a Hindu really knows what they are proud of? Yeah. I see a lot of head shaking while you're speaking, but we'll hold that thought. Do you know what is the meaning, the literal word of the meaning Hindu?
I read once that you don't want to videotape this, trust me. No, that it was actually a short form of the word Sindhu, because when the Persians, even before the Persians, when the people whoever invaded India came there, was near the Sindhu River. So they named the people. I'm named after a state in India, Kerala. Well, Kerala, but people.
Kerala?
Yes.
Okay, so let's be Kerala. So now we will ask Patricia to explain to you where the word Hindu derived from.
On the bank of the Sindhu River in the Indus Valley, a group of people lived there, and the Mohammedans, they couldn't pronounce the word Sindhu, so they called the people who lived there Hindu.
And that is where the word Hindu derived from. So it is a mispronunciation of a word. So according to the history, there is no such word in any language that is known as Hindu. Yeah, there is no word in any language as the word Hindu. Hindu was derived from the Persians, the same Persians where they were the Mohammedan class. They had a tongue, and because of that tongue, sin became Hindu. And our ancestors, they are followers. That's how it came down. So another thing, what then do we follow? We are following Sanatan Dharma. How many of us likes to follow Sanatan Dharma? Well, I guess everybody who was proud to be Hindu is following Sanatan Dharma. Now, my question to you is, what is Sanatan Dharma? I start with you. Okay.
It's in our religion and duty.
Okay.
It's in our life, truth.
Patricia. Anushka.
Practicing the righteous way of living.
Ditto.
Okay, so Patricia and this one had the complete answer. Sanatan, everybody knows by now, Sanatan means eternal. Dharma. What I have heard a sannyasi who lived in India, and I was a principal and he was a sannyasi, he said there is no equivalent English word to represent the word dharma. So the closest word they came to in English is religious. So Sanatan Dharma is your eternal religious duties. So without the word duties, you could say eternal religion, but once the word duty is not there, then it will not fit dharma. Right? Now, human life begins when we know who we are. So if I were to ask you this question, who are you in truth as an individual, spiritually speaking? I mean, by now, all our there is Sanatanis, right? And all our them know by now we are spirit soul. Is it not? Okay. My question to you now, if we are spirit soul, that's the first question which brings us to the platform of knowing that we are human beings, right? Then the second question, who is God? Can you say? Okay, give me in one word, who is God? If I ask you, Sarika, if I say, Sarika, who is your father? And you tell me your father is your dad. What you tell me on the scene is no difference, right? How can I find out your father? How would I be able to find your father if you tell me your father is your dad? So in other words, who is God? Who is God? Huh? Who is God? Who is God? Who is God on Anushka? Who is God? Who is God? It's not a fair question? If I ask you, who is your father?
That is the person.
Yeah.
God is the person.
Okay, who is God? Okay, so we have people saying Krishna is God, we have some saying Paramatma is God, which is super soul, right? And one saying certainly she's not sure. Okay. If I don't know who I am in truth, as an individual, spiritually speaking, do you think I will know who God is? So then how can I claim this is God, that is God, he is God, she is God, or they is God? Now, from the Hindu perspective of life, there are many gods and goddesses. Because you know when Navratri time comes, there's the 9 daily pujas and those things. I'm sure some of our parents may have done those pujas and you all go into it. Like helping, prepare, and this and that. Now, just to come to the platform of understanding, can all of them be God, or does it really have one God? One God. So how would we know that one God? What is the best way to understand who is that one God? Anybody who could understand? What is the best way to understand who is that one God? Alright, we take the two answers. Anybody? Huh? A tree? Okay, I understand your point.
I think the more you purify yourself, the better you the more virtuous you get, the more you meditate and whatnot. Control your mind. That's the way we
Okay, we hear you. Understand. How do you think is the best way to understand? What about
Devotion and knowledge.
Very good. She a round of applause. What is it what she said? Repeat it louder than again. Okay. So let me break it down in more simple terms of language. I will give you a fair example. You have a mother and father, right? Each one of us. I'm sure, right? You sure you have a mother and father? Anushka? You just gonna shake your head. Okay. How is it you are sure that that is your mother, that is your father? Can you say? Well, let me tell you. According to Swami Srila Prabhupada's explanation, you were there, but were you there saying, hey, mom and dad, what is this? No. You were being conceived, but you were there, but you couldn't understand. But when you grow up, you hear from authority. Someone who is authoritative, you heard from and say, this is your mother and this is your father. So by faith, you develop from hearing from authority. You see? Now, the same way, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is advertising himself. He said, Bhagwan tu Swayam. I am the supreme personality of Godhead. I am God, and everyone else is my servant. But the thing about it, he has disciples and devotees coming in a line of disciple succession, coming straight down into Swami Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, to us, letting us know and bringing the same identical message that Krishna spoke. So because this knowledge is coming in a disciple succession, we can understand directly from authority that Krishna says, and he boldly explains, I am the supreme personality of God, and all that there is. He said, there is no one after me. Wait, I'll take it this way. So I had to make some points first, otherwise if I don't stop it there, then I will be able to focus on what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is that if you, every one of you here love your father, right? But what is the best way? I sure you would like to please your father somehow or the other. What is the best way to please your father? Doing what he likes? Give me some more reasons. Huh? Serve him. No, but how is the best way to please him? Okay. What was the official? Make you proud? Okay. The point I was getting at is that how would you know if you're to please your father? First you have to ask him. If you ask your father, what will please you best, Father? Then you will know. Is it not? Now, when you know by asking your Father what he wants, then you present, then he will be very pleased. Is it not? So too, Krishna says in the Gita, after speaking these 700 verses of the Gita, he said, my dear devotees, the best way to please me, I'm telling you, 5,000 years ago he is saying before, how I want you to please me. And every one of you know this verse. Maybe you didn't know it in Sanskrit, but you know it in English. He said, Patram pushpam phalam toyam jome bhaktya priyachiti dadaham bhaktu paritam ashnami priyatat manaha. So you know it, so say what's the meaning of it. Eh? Right, so she got the point. Krishna is saying the best way to please me is if you could offer me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or something. You see? Now, none of these things he asks you for means causing pain to another living entity to offer. Water, you do not cause pain. If you pick a leaf, you don't cause pain. Yeah? So, but leaf, flower, fruit, you don't cause pain. Leaf, flower, fruit, and water. So you see, he is telling you how you should please him, but with love and devotion. But we, as conditioned soul, now we have taken this birth. How we have gotten this birth? We pass through 8, according to the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, it says, we pass through 8,400,000 species of life. Bahunam Janmanam Anti. Birth after birth, seeking out knowledge. And for somehow or the other, we made it to this human form of life. Because in every other species of life, we don't have the intelligence as the human being. So now, we pass through all these different births, all these different circumstances. We come to this platform. Now, while we were in the womb of our mother, ouch, and being bitten by worms in a wound, and we kick him, we must say, oh, my baby, kick him. Come. Or worms is being biting. Now the baby is praying, my dear Lord, because the soul is who we are. But the soul within the womb, he is still praying to Krishna, my dear Krishna, please take me off from this position. And as soon as I come out, please come and join me. Put a chair next to you, Anushka. And as soon as the baby comes out, he forgets all the pain that he was going through. Because, I mean, you know about delivering babies. Baby come out with so much pain, he come out unconscious. And then you have to tell him, where is it? There's a scream for the side. But that is how painful taking birth is. Right? And as soon as the baby comes out in this external energy of Krishna, the baby forgets about Krishna and he forgets how much pain that he went through. And in this way, this thing started to work. What he started to look for? He didn't know it exists. Eh? What are you looking for? Food. You're looking for, how do I say? Breast milk. You want to be breastfed. Right? So, Krishna is so kind to us that despite we went through every different birth, seeking knowledge, seeking to get real pleasure, now that we come to this human form of life, we are forgetful who we are. We forget who we are, we forget where we came from, and we forget what the purpose of life is, especially the human form of life. Now, in the context of being in this amnesia state of consciousness, now we are working, now we have to do four things. We work for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And we will compete with our best friends to see who could do it best. Is it not? We work to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. But what is the purpose of life? Because scientists have done they have done an analogy. They have analyzed and they have done, they check out the animal features, they check out the human features. Right? And what the animals do? Tell me, the animal eat, the animal sleep, the animal mate, and the animal defend. So if you look back to us, our life, we do the same thing. So therefore, we are also animals in consciousness. Is it not? So if we are animals in consciousness, then we give in all them peace and royal trouble because we have intelligence. They don't have intelligence. You see? So we have intelligence in this human form of life to make an inquiry. A sincere inquiry. Who am I? Where did I come from? What is my purpose here? Why am I put into a helpless position where I took birth, and from the time I take birth, I started the process of dying. Yeah? This is the power of intelligence we have that is different from the others. But what do? We misuse our intelligence. Why and how? Because under the spell of Maya Devi, we now have these 5 venomous serpents-like senses: seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, and touching. Only wants to seek pleasure to satisfy the gross one. Is it not? So your eyes see a nice handsome boy as a girl, what you will do? Your eyes will come over here and be back. A boy see a nice girl, same thing, right? Now, the idea or the point is that these senses is so venomous, it always seeking pleasure. But where it is seeking pleasure, it is seeking pleasure in the wrong places. In other words, do you think an intelligent person, one who is really intelligent, you feel it go? Yeah. Do you think that an intelligent person would direct you to go to the desert and there you can find water? How many of you say yes? Of course. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna is saying that our original nature is we are pleasure-seeking beings. You cannot stop us from seeking pleasure, because that is our original nature, because God Himself is all pleasure. And if we are part and parcel of the all supreme personality of Godhead, and He is all pleasure seeking, and we are part of Him, then our nature is that we will always be hankering after pleasure. But pleasure for what? Pleasure to satisfy these gross, venomous senses. It wants to eat KFC. It wants to go to a Chinese restaurant. Like the town I'm talking about. The nose wants to smell a good pot. Huh? The air wants to hear Prajalpa. You know what is Prajalpa? Talking people business. Who boy run away with who girl in the neighborhood. And she, and so. We want to hear these kind of, we get happiness and joy for when someone fails or when someone falls. Seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting and touching. These 5 senses is like 5 uncontrolled horses. This tracks you have in your hand. Watch in front of you, you'll see 5 horses. Atisha, you have one? Okay. And then you pass it. You will see 5 horses here. And this 5 horses represents our wild senses. It represents these senses because these are like seeing, smelling, hearing. And do you see the rope that holds these horses? That rope is considered to be a mind. And do you see the person that is holding that rope? That person that holding the rope is called intelligence. And if you look very carefully, which Peter hardly shows, if you look quite in the end here, on the chariot seat, you will see you as the soul sitting in the chariot of the mind. You have to look very carefully in the corner here. You'll see the soul sitting there. That is who we are. But now we are in a vehicle, in the chariot of this vehicle, being run by 5 wild horses who cannot be controlled by the mind. And intelligence is having a hard time to control both mind and senses put together. So what these 5 senses does is they try the best to convince mind about enjoying in this material world. Now, when the senses defeat mind by getting you to go to parties, by getting you to do things, because you as a human being, you have the intelligence to know what is right and what is wrong. Is it not? You know what is good and what is bad. So when the senses and the mind combine together, they hold intelligence and they tie it up. So when intelligence becomes lost, our society becomes havoc. That is what is happening to us. Now, as conditioned beings, brought up with different conditioning, now we are misled to identify ourselves as Hindus, Christians, Muslims. And I can go on. So when I ask, who are you in truth? I am me. I am who I am. I am Mr. Dattavara Dasa. I am Atrisha. I am Anushka. I am this. I am that. I am Indian. I am African. I am a girl. I'm a boy. I'm a Trinidadian. I'm American. And we could go on, I am. But who is the I that you speak about? You see? So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita, which is the authoritative, and coming directly from the lips of the Supreme Lord, being brought down in a line of disciple succession, meaning that we cannot be misguided or be misled because it is coming from the mouth and the lips of the absolute truth. If I were to tell you some knowledge, and I'm telling you this knowledge of my own intelligence, then I can misguide you. But because I am repeating what was said from the lips of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, what the knowledge is itself absolute. It is just like you have a baby, now start to walk, but when they start to walk and they're walking on the road, they start to ask plenty questions. You know, your little brother or little sister, they start to ask plenty questions. So if they see a bicycle, but they don't know what is that, they say, Mommy, what is this? And you say, well, this is a bicycle. Now, they don't have to go and do research again to find out what that is a bicycle. Why? Because their thoughts is that their mother is the authority. And if mother says, this is a bicycle, then my friend comes and says, what is that? I say, that's a bicycle. So if you repeat what you heard from authority, then you can't be wrong. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, we are so misguided. Hare Krishna Baba. We are so misguided now that now we are now identifying ourselves to be this body. And now we label ourselves as Hindu and Christians and Muslims and Jain and Jehovah's. But if we were to take out all the labels, who am I? You see, we are eternal, unborn, everlasting, primeval, fragmental, uncontainable. Krishna says in the Gita, he said this divine energy of mine. What is meant by this divine energy of mine? Material nature. You see? He said this divine energy of mine is very, very difficult to cross. But this divine energy of mine is only moved by mind. It's just like a husband and a wife. Would you disobey your husband? No, you will want to do everything to please your husband, right? No? Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. So in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us as living entities, he said, we got to wake up from the sleep that we are sleeping, because we are now dreaming by misidentifying who we are by this body. This body is made up of 8 separate energy of God. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and falsity. So this body is just a lump of flesh. So who am I? Am I this body, or am I something that is within this body? And how would I know for sure? He says, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna saying, the blessings of the one who seeketh knowledge is those who come across somehow or the other by approaching a devotee who is coming from a line of disciple succession. And when you approach such a devotee and you inquire from him submissively and you render service to him, then you will start to understand. Now, if that devotee sees that you are sincere to want to come to know him, then the devotee will impart knowledge. Can you teach someone who doesn't want to learn? So you got to teach someone who wants to know. Because if for so long, through tradition, we are identifying ourselves as Hindu, right? And we are being misguided by civilization, right? And then we are misguided by our locals. In the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explains that in the age of Kali Yuga, there will be so much teachers, how we say it, candlefly light teachers. Now, the candlefly light lies very bright in dark places. Yeah? You know the candlefly? It lies very bright, you know. But if we have millions and millions of candleflies existing in this present world and there's lighting, and they are given this knowledge, they say if you do this, you do that, you practice this, you practice that, and you try and you're seeking pleasure, you're seeking knowledge, but still you will be feeling empty, right? Now, what is the value of all these millions of candleflies put together when the sun comes out? There's no value. So this is how important it is to come to the platform of asking yourself, who am I? Because we as conditioned soul is no different from a man who is drowning. A man who is drowning, he is compared to, he is like helpless. Is it not? A drowning man, is he helpless? Like not really. Yes? Right. If he sees a straw, he may even grasp at the straw. Why we are saying that we are in a helpless position? Despite we think we have our own freedom and our own free will, and we are independent beings, we think like that, right? But actually, why we are in this drowning position, in a helpless position? Because we are going through birth, we are going through old age, we are going through disease, and we are dying. And is there anything the scientist is doing? Can the scientist invent that you purchase another life or two that you can cut out? Otherwise, all them rich men will buy it all. Yeah? So too, what we have to do is to make advancement. How do we make advancement? First, we must know what we want. And what we want. Do we want to remain conditioned through being following traditions? Because tradition in itself paralyzes the mind of a man. And especially when we fail to make an inquiry, why are we doing this? How many of us do things and we don't even know why we do it? Especially when it comes to doing prayers at home. See? When you're doing puja at home, you do things and you don't even know why you do. Is it not? Shivali. Right, Shivali. So, did you ever inquire why? Did you hear what Krishna says in the Gita? Krishna says everything explicitly. The Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to the sun rising. When the sun rises, then there is no room for candlefly lights. And if you read the Bhagavad Gita carefully, taking guidance from a devotee, then you will understand, oh wait now, I am being cheated. And man themselves has 4 defects. Can anyone say what the 4 defects man has? Okay. We are in illusion. And being in illusion, we tend to commit mistakes. Is it not? We make mistakes. And when you're in illusion and you make a mistake, to hide your mistake, you turn to lying and cheating. To cover up your mistakes. And when you cover up your mistakes, then your mind always becomes disturb. Is it not? Start telling one lie, and you'll see how that lie will start to appear like it's true. See? So this is the four defects man had. We have imperfect senses, and yet out of the mind, which has five functions, thinking, willing, feeling, accepting and rejecting, we think, well, this is what I learned and this is what I have followed, and my mother did it this way, my grandparents did this, my great-grandparents, and I'm going to do it this way too. But I never asked them the reason why. You see? So here Krishna is saying in the Gita, Bhagwan tu swayam, I am the supreme cause of all causes and all that is. I am God. He's advertising himself as God. But we are like, the mothers, and then when they go to shop around in the supermarket, they like to pick up and watch and pick up and watch and drop out and drop out. Right now we are like shopping around. We're looking for knowledge. And yet Krishna is advertising himself. He is saying, if we simply approach a devotee who is coming from a line of disciplic succession, and if we take instructions and guidance from him, then we can make headways. They are in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. How would I know this? How would anybody know this? He says there are 33 million other gods and goddesses. Have you ever heard this before? Okay, so if it have 33 million gods and goddesses, how are we to pray to all of them? Should we not apply some intelligence? And instead of wasting our intelligence, if we approach someone who knows with folded hands, submissively. Because Arjuna, he became so weak. His bow, the hands of tremble. And he went on and said, Krishna, I really ain't going to do this. See? That's illusion. But if you take from authority, someone who knows, and you inquire from him submissively, then he will impart knowledge to you. So you no longer have to go and do the equation again. The equation was already told by the authority. So therefore, this Krishna consciousness was brought directly from the spiritual world for us in the age of Kali Yuga. And to let you know how special we are in this present age of Kali Yuga is that we have Satyuga, we have Treta Yuga, we have Dwapar Yuga, and we have Kali Yuga. Most of you all are familiar with the Yugas, right? Yeah? Right. Answer them. I can't remember for sure how long the duration of Satyuga was. Mukta Prabhu, you can tell me the duration of Satyuga? If you can't remember, it's not important. But I remember from Treta Yuga. But the duration of Satyuga, I think, is 2 times the duration of Treta Yuga. But Treta Yuga duration, I remember that one, is 1296,000 years. You know it's 1296,000 years? Now this is the Yuga that Ram did. See? Now Ram lived his pastimes and teach the living entities in this Yuga. Then come another Yuga which was Dwapar Yuga, which had 856,000 years. I want you to see the point I'm making. Now from 1296,000 years passed, 856,000 years, and now this last age that we are living in, called Kali Yuga, the duration time is 432,000 years, and where we now enter a minimum of 5,000 and some plus years. And here what? To show you how important we are. And these sages who lived in the first Yuga, Sat Yuga, you know how long the duration of life was? Can anybody say? How long the living entities used to live in Sat Yuga? Huh? Yes. Well, this Atrisha is good. 100,000 years these sages used to live. And out of that 100,000 years, they used to meditate for 60,000 years of their lifespan. And this is not knowledge of what I am giving you. This is from Vedic. And what happened when these sages went into deep meditation? They foresaw the vision. They foresaw Treta Yuga, which had a duration of 1286 years. Imagine they meditating here. They looked through Treta Yuga, they looked through Dwapara Yuga, and they foresaw the coming of Kali Yuga. And what they have seen that was very special in this Kali Yuga is they saw that the Lord Himself will come in His most munificent incarnation and deliver the living entity in the easiest process and method. Can you imagine that? So in these sages who saw that, they were entitled to get moksha, liberation. They were entitled to go back home. But they pray, my Lord, please allow me to take birth when Kali Yuga comes. Why would you want to pray? You're getting the opportunity to go back home. You know, moksha, liberation. But they prayed, my Lord, please don't send me back home. I want that when I come, please keep me in this material world until this Yuga comes, Kali Yuga, where you will personally come to distribute the love of God freely to every living. And here, I cannot see through your body, and I can't tell you who or which stage you are from Satyuga. I don't know what great sage you are from Satyuga, who had begged the Lord to come and take birth here in Kali Yuga, to come to chant the glories of His name. So this is how fortunate we are. Also, another point, while I'm on this same point, is to let you know how authentic the Ramayana is. The Ramayana was spoken in Treta Yuga, which has a duration of 1296,000 years. Right? Then 856,000 years was Dwapara Yuga. And we are entering 5,000 plus years in Kali Yuga, and yet this Ramayana is still being practiced and still being heard and taught. Nice to tell you how powerful the Ramayana is. But there's a difference. Here what the difference is. The people in this age, they used to live for 10,000 years. In Satyuga, they live for 100,000 years. In Treta Yuga, they live for 10,000 years. And then their lifespan dropped at Dwapara Yuga, they start to live for 1,000 years. But the type of practice they used to practice in Treta Yuga, when they used to worship Sri Ram, is that it was so costly. But at that age, in that age, they had everything. And now in Kali Yuga, we live in for 200 million years. And we live in so long? How long we live in for? Well, according in Kali Yuga, our duration of life is supposed to be 100 years. So we live in 100 years and trying to practice in the people in this age who live for 10,000 years, we who live in 100 years try to practice what they practice here. Now in each yuga, there is a Tadaka Brahmanam. There is a particular mantra. In each age, that the living entities could have recite and go back home, back to God. I can't remember the direct mantra for these 3 ages because I didn't learn it. But each yuga had a Tadaka Brahmana. But the Tadaka Brahmana for this age, and it is also said in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it says Harinam, Harinam, Harinama Eva Kevalam, Kalonasteva, Ivanasteva, Ivagati. In this age, where our minds have become so clouded, we have become victims of our own selves. You see, the easiest process for the living entity in this age. All other forms of worship and every other form of practice is authentic because it's coming from the Vedas. But the difference is, Kali Yuga, this age, Kali Yuga, is called a state of emergency age. You never heard that, right? It is in a state of emergency. And what happens in a state of emergency? Huh? Curfew? In a state of emergency, despite the curfew is that you could move a particular time and get in at a particular. The state of emergency is that all your rights has been infringed. You have no longer no rights. In a state of emergency, the law requires no higher authority to allow them to enter into your home. So you lost all your freedom. And our country is still in a state of emergency. Now, only what the leader says we could do is applicable. Despite all the laws of the land, in a state of emergency, these laws become null and void. Can you understand that? It's null and void in a state of emergency. So Kali Yuga, we are now in a state of emergency. And in this state of emergency, Krishna spoke this 5,000 years ago in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 66. He says, Sarva dharman parijagya mam ekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papibhyo mukshayishami ma suchaha. Krishna is saying this, not me. He said, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. And I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. And finally, to confirm what he was saying, he said, Masuchaha. He said, don't worry, do not fear, I will protect you. But we are so conditioned. We don't believe Krishna. He is saying, abandon religion. Why? Because in a state of emergency, there is only one law. The law that is given by the authority. Is it not? And here, in this age of Kali Yuga, Krishna is saying in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, Harinam, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, Kalonasteva, Ivanasteva, Ivagati Rudita. He said, the only mantra. He said, I have appeared in this Kali Yuga in the form of my holy name. And if you just chant my name continuously, he said in Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru mang eva yashiyutva evam atma mang mad parayana. The same thoughts that you think, Krishna is saying, those thoughts bind you more because you seek in pleasure. We seek in to quench our thirst in the desert. We're looking for happiness, but we're looking for it in the wrong place. How many of you will feel comfortable going down the highway, full speed ahead with an expert driver, but going the wrong direction? That is not a good position, right? I mean, what's the sense of going full speed ahead with an expert driver, but you're going in the wrong direction? So we as living entities, we are on that long pathway. So we are technically running a rat race to see who will fall off the cliff first. And we are competitive about doing so. I can be better than you, you can be better than me. But if we look behind what we see, we are eternal servants of God. And our eternal constitutional position is to serve Him. He loaned us some toys. But if it is my toys and I loan you, you should use that toys to please me, not to please you. And what is the toys He loan us? These senses. And what do we use these senses for? For enjoying eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. See? So, in this disease condition, Mom, you will be getting it?
Yes. In this disease condition.
Yeah, but let me tell you what I have learned from a thought word. As long as you are thinking a thought at the time of a word or phrase is being spoken, it means that you will not be 100% to hear what is going. You understand? And this comes from a guy. He said, if you don't condition your life now, life will find a way to condition you. You see? Because we are victims. And what we are victims for? Because we are prisoners. This material world is just like a prison. Now, in our prison house here in Golden Grove, there are laws in the prison, right? Let's imagine our prison without no laws. What will happen? Huh? What will happen in a prison without no laws? There will be total chaos. So what will happen in our material world, which is our prison house, what will happen without no laws? There will be total chaos. So we are prisoners. And who is the commissioner of this prison house? We have a commissioner of prison in our country, Trinidad, right? Right? So we have a commissioner of our prison house. And her duty is to ensure that we punish. Why? Because we are disobedient. And who we are disobedient to? The Supreme Lord. Because we want to enjoy separate from Him. But Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of our Hare Krishna movement, he came to the Western world at a ripe age, close to 70 years, 69 going into 70 years, to come to the Western world to bring this cure for our disease condition. Because our senses are so poisonous. So he bring the antidote to take out the poisons from these senses. And when you could take out the poison from these senses, then the snake no longer is dangerous, right? So what he is saying, he brought the medicine to us, that despite what we do now, if we simply, constantly beg the Lord by approaching Him through His name, and His name is none different from Him, then we will start to wake up from this deep, dark sleep that we are in. It's just like a child. If a child is dreaming, oh tiger is coming to get me. Huh? And you see he is tossing and turning in the bed. What is the best solution for him? Take a gun and put it beside him, maybe he might use the gun and kill the tiger. What is the best thing to do for the child? Wake him up. So therefore, Swami Prabhupada came to the Western world to wake us up. Because we're thinking that we must work. Christians say, yes, work, but work for me. But who we work for? Presently, you are young students going through some real tapasya, real sacrifice. Is it not? I think it doesn't have anyone who is doing so much sacrifice as you. I've been talking to Atrish. And not only that, you don't even have time to think if you're really lonely. And all for what? For prestige. You see? And what your mother will be so happy and proud. Oh, I have a doctor, a daughter who's a doctor. I have a son. You understand? But the idea is, when you're a doctor, you have to live a certain standard also. Because society look at you in a different way. Because that is governed by this society. But who am I? I am spirit soul. I am meant to be a servant of Krishna. But now I am a victim of my own senses because I work in more hard than necessary for eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And in doing so, when I go to school, I have a good education, then I want to marry. Then I want to get married. And when you want to get married, marry me because you seek happiness, and in marriage have a certain pleasure, then you will want to have a child. Is it not? And then from having a child, then you have to work more hard. Why? Because now we have to get a house, you have to provide food, you have to provide clothing, you have to provide shelter, you have to provide education. And by the time education time done with the children, your hair started to turn gray, or you start to lose your foot. Knowing that Jara, old age is approaching. And if we do not use this human form of life to understand where we are, who am I, where are we to go from here, then what will happen to us? We'll be tossed back into the ocean of the cycle of birth and death. But here we have an opportunity to understand that Krishna says that no matter what position we are in this life, if we start taking this medication, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Rama, Rama Rama.
I am sure you want to medicine. Already want to medicine. If you are getting a medicine to cure yourself, a poisonous snake bites you, bit you, and here someone who knows medicine hands you a poison and says, this is the antidote to the poison. Would you go for it very slowly? How fast you will have it? So too, in all the scriptures, in the studying of all the Vedas, Krishna said, I am with you. So what we are doing is that we have to purify our consciousness. How do we purify our consciousness? Constantly repeating the name of God. But in a conditioned state of consciousness, what do we repeat most? We don't know, but we just do it. Huh? Yeah. But and to show you how material sound is so effective. So imagine how much more powerful a spiritual transcendental sound vibration will be. A material sound like I am mad, I am mad, I am mad. How would you get? Just by the repentance of a name, a phrase, or a word, you become and you attract the same name or word. So too Krishna says, in this age, our only hope for reviving our original consciousness is the chanting of the holy names of God. So I want you to beg the Lord by calling out and crying out His name. If you are drowning and someone is around and you see them and you want help, how would you ask for help? Would you call for help like that? How would you call? bawl out loud, right? So too, let us bawl out aloud by calling out to the Lord's name from the heart. Not really from the lip. The lip is not too much important, but from the heart. Now, no matter what position you are, if you start taking this mantra and constantly chanting it, then you will wake up from this dream that you are dreaming. Because presently, we are committing very much sinful activities. And on the platform and on the basis of sinful activities, when we perform sinful activities, we attract more sinful activities in our life. And there are 4 pillars, or there are 4 roots of all sins. Anybody know? What is the 4 roots of all sins? There are many sins, but there is boiled down to 4 pillars. You know, like if you build in a house with 4 pillars, it will be strong. Sins has 4 pillars, so that's why they're real strong. And we are committing these sinful activities moment after moment in our lives, daily lives. And I didn't say it, I only repeat it. So those should be postman. Postman just did it in me. The 4 pillars of sinful life. First one is meat eating. Meat eating means that we force the life of another living entity for the parting of its flesh. The question arises, did you give life? Why are you responsible for taking life? See? But we can go more into detail in it. I'll just give you the 4 pillars very quickly. Gambling. How many of us play play? See, I want to catch up to the end. So it's meat eating, gambling, intoxication, because most of us, we turn into taking intoxication because we are under some pressure. Or we may feel like, I work so hard this week, or I do so much this week, I should enjoy this weekend. And most of us sometimes turn to smoking cigarettes. And we tend to make the cigarette, the first time you smoke it, it wouldn't be so bad. You know, when you start to practice it, then what happens? It becomes a habit. See? So meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex life, which is very rampant in today's world. Illicit sex life is sex out of invocation and premarital sex. So these are the 4 pillars of all sinful activities. And if you were to have 5 children and one is a little bit deformed, and your other 4 children ask you, Mom, our last brother is not so wholesome, let's kill him. Would you agree? Would any of you agree that your 4 good children want you to kill the one who is deformed? No, definitely. So therefore, these animals, they eat, they sleep, they mate, they defend. You as human beings, you eat, you sleep, you mate, you defend. We did not give them life, then why should we take their life to partake of blood? And I have learned that there are 2 ways, or main ways, that we could dispose of dead carcasses. What is the 2 main ways to dispose of dead carcasses? Burning and burying. Huh? But we are so conditioned from tradition. Our mother did it, our grandparents did it, and on the other side everybody here is doing it. So that seemed to be normal, a normal thing. You see? So what happened? There's a 3rd way we find in Kali Yuga. We eat it. You see? So if we push impure things into our heart, can we become pure? This is why Krishna said, we must approach a spiritual master. And it is just like when someone is sick, they approach a good physician, and then the physician diagnoses the problem, then he recommends a prescription with a particular medicine for the particular disease, and then you take that. If you should follow that particular prescription which was given to you by that expert physician, then obviously your disease will subside, right? So too, in this position that we are in, you don't have to give up what you do. You don't have to give up eating, you don't have to give up gambling, you don't have to give up intoxication, you don't have to give up illicit sex life. What we are saying, this is our disease. And if we start taking the medicine, then cure will come. I will use myself as an example. I have exactly 2 minutes to give out this example. With myself personally, I used to smoke cigarettes. But I never had money to buy cigarettes. But I used to attend Sandy Grande Junior Sec, and I had a little friend, he's shorter than me, so that man had money like that. And he buys cigarettes like that. And when he gave me the cigarette, the first time to smoke, boy, I coughed my life out. But because it was a group of boys, they say, use that chicken, man, use that chicken. I said, no, give me a bushman, it's not chicken. So I had to prove to them that I could really bring the smoke out through my nose. When I bring the smoke through my nose, really them. I had to act normal amongst them to prove to them that, hey, Isaac, are good too. So I started smoking that cigarette with him, and every lunchtime we used to run away just to buy cigarettes to smoke. And it became a habit until I meet another guy who did the same thing with me, but from Barbados. He came to Trinidad, and me and he started a competition in smoking. We used to smoke 5 packs of Gamori for the day, and I couldn't imagine, my lip used to burn me, and be black too also. So what happened? A couple of years later down the road, after we left school, I was seeking for the truth. I grew up in a Hindu home. My mother christened me with doing a Hanuman Puja. I asked her, Mommy, if you're christening me, is this God we worshiping? And she didn't ask her. She said, ask him to Christian. Because she's doing a Hanuman Puja and you're christening me. The Pandit took a rest and was smoking his cigarette in front of the baby. I asked her what she slapped me too. I went to school in Canaripur Presbyterian School, and in order to go to that school, you had to forget you as a Hindu. Because they wanted me to now, how do I say, baptize in Presbyterian, so that I could get a future job with the Presbyterian board. I became the Sunday school teacher and also the cleaner for the church. And the first thing that I learned in Sunday school to teach was, the foolish man built his house upon the sand. I sure most of all have heard that before. When the rain came tumbling down, and what will happen? The house and the sand will wash away. And the wise man built his house upon the rock. So this Krishna consciousness is like building your house on firm ground. Because why? This Absolute himself say, Masucha, don't worry, I will protect you if you just approach me by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All this song like really want help. Come on, man. Let us beg the Lord in a helpless mood. My Lord, I am put into this ocean of birth and death for millions and millions of lifetimes. And now I am so fortunate to have the association of some Vaishnavas who by the mercy of Swami Srila Prabhupada, who have sacrificed his life at the end of his old age to bring this medicine which came directly from Goloka Vrindavan Dham by the Lord himself in the form, in his most munificent incarnation as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us beg in a helpless mood. If you are begging and your hand down inside, you might hit the Lord. So let me raise your hand and beg. Everybody, hands up in the air in a begging mood. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
So
Hare
before I close, keep your hands up in the air. I want you to attract a feeling. Let the feeling come in a begging way. Now your hands will be like you're begging, but it doesn't mean to say you're begging. But attract the feelings into your heart. If you really want something, how would you beg? So develop that feeling within and beg the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And in this mood, if we develop that feelings of begging the Supreme Lord through His name, he said, like one guru I heard said, and I heard also Prabhupada says, when the student is ready, then the teacher comes. So if you really want to know about the Lord wants to know about you more than He wants to know about you. So if you make one footstep towards Him, He will make 99 towards you. So on this note, I will end the program now, and here how I will end the program. We will sing Namaste. We have a lot of prasadam we want everybody to take. And two, I want to ask if there is any questions, any comments, or any corrections, you are free to do so now. Speak a little also there. They didn't understand. I mean, you should continue to be that. You just want to hear. No. Before I answer you, I want to give you a little pastime of my wife fast. She used to go in the Kubuto Shiva Mandir. And so Lakshmana, just come here fast 1 minute. 1 minute, fast. Time running out. Just explain to this crowd what you used to do and how you used to eat meat and how you what did they tell you?
Okay, well, I grew up in a Hindu and worshiping Lord Shiva because I didn't know who was God. Because when you go to a temple, you see different deities and you just worship everybody and pray to everybody and tell everybody is God, everybody is great. And I was attracted somehow to Lord Shiva. And I used to go for myself on a Sunday morning, every Sunday. I used to go and do my own puja, create my own concoction and everything, and do my own puja.
Thinking I was doing right.
Thinking for my heart, I was doing some, I was praying, I was doing so much devotion to the Lord, to Lord Shiva, thinking that He's God too, everybody's God. Then one day the conduct came in and he said, Betty, you fast when you come? I said, yes, every Sunday I just fast before I come and do the puja.
And what is that fasting? What are fasting consist of?
No meat eating. That is fasting. That was fasting. And for the whole day I would fast. But he said, it's okay. When you finish your puja, you can go on eat. Once you finish your puja, you can go on eat. So I was so happy that I could have gone eat.
Now to answer your question is that if you know the right thing and you could prevent doing the wrong thing, then do the right thing. But in our helpless state of consciousness, the best thing to do is to beg the Lord for His mercy through His name. When you take medicine, then His mercy. See? But there is certain videos that if I give you to see, you definitely will not want to put the cards. Okay, well then since you start, I'll send you on a site in Google. Go on Google and type in Earthlings, and that video is specifically for Earthlings. EARTHLINGS. So anybody have internet, go on Earthlings on Google. Just go on Google, type in Earthlings, and that video is a special gift. Alright, that is your homework until our next program lecture. Is there anybody want to make a comment or question? So what you guys are saying, all you agree with what I'm saying?
vegetarian thing. I have an issue with that because the fact that you were showing up every Sunday to puja with a pure heart, whether you had eaten meat before you came, to me that makes a difference. Like just showing up with a pure heart. Because I don't think we are putting us aside something who eats meat or doesn't eat meat has a pure heart, a pure intention, because your intention differs with everybody.
Okay, so we kind of run out of time, so while we're taking prasad, I'm going to answer you. Yeah. Speak a little loud.
When you say you came to temple and of course you were doing it right, what she was referring to was the music or that she was showing what she was doing.
But what she was referring to, I can speak for you?
Go ahead.
You want she to answer? Okay.
What
He
is it?
wanted to know if what you were doing, whatever you thought you were doing in the temple, with all the different motives, but you choose Lord Shiva, if you think that was right, because you want to know if that was right or not, or only the meeting was right. All right.
No, well, I thought that was the right thing because I was brought up with grandparents doing it. My parents do it, so I just continue doing it without asking a question. What I was doing was right or wrong. Or if it was, if it's supposed to be done this way or that way. That there was no...
Okay, the point what we are looking for is that there are 33 million Devis and Devatas. The Bhagavad Gita says, Yepyamya Devata Bhakta Yajante Shradaya Pita Devi Mange Bhaktiya Yajanta Vidhi Purvakam. He says, if we do not have that intelligence to understand, Prabhupada explained it like this, and Krishna says, he said, let's consider, you might not know what is a banyan tree, right? But we can use a mango tree because it's a kind of more religious tree. Because you use it for different rituals too. So a mango tree, it has very large mango trees, right? Now, there are so many leaves on these trees. Let's consider it to be 33 million leaves, right? Now, let's say each of these leaves on this tree is one god and a goddess. They are gods and goddesses. Right? Now, is it open, you take your pick. You pick any leaf that you want in worship. Wait, let me finish. So, in other words, most people, they choose 9 leaf, which is the 9 Devis. Some people choose Lord Shiva, some people choose Ganesh Baba, some people choose the goddess of worship, Saraswati Mata, and different way, and they just pick the pick. Bhagavad Gita Krishna is saying, when you approach him, he said one who approaching the tree in that manner, they are not so intelligent. Why they are not so intelligent? Because if you take from an authoritative source, they will tell you that you already had to water the leaf of the tree for the branches and twigs and everything to be satisfied. They will tell you that the root of the tree is the one that you worship, right? So Krishna said, I am the root of the tree. And when you actually serve me, all 33 million Devis and Devatas will be pleased. That's what he is saying.
Well, yes, I understand what you're saying, but I believe that different gods and deities, they specify, like she said, Lord Shiva represents us. If you're praying to Lord Shiva, if you look at the picture of the photos, their faces are all the same.
They what?
Their faces are all the same.
Who?
All the gods and goddesses.
Ah.
I mean, yes, we identify.
Okay, let me explain this. You really look at Shiva Pitya properly? Do you see Shiva Baba with a bead in his hand? Never see. You never see him with a bead so? And his hand on something like this? Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen his hand with the bead in his hand and his eyes closed? You ever see the Pitya? I'll get it and bring it and show you now. So he is meditating.
Yes, I know.
But in the Shiva Purana, he says, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda Murari. What he said? What is the meaning? You fool you, you fool you, you fool you. He's saying 3 times. Govinda is the Supreme Lord. And tell me if you know this song so you'll understand what I'm saying. Bhajale Govind, Bhajale Govind, Bhajale Govindam. Ye duniya hai Prabhu ki maya, Bhajale Govindam. This maya is covering our eyes to see that Govinda is the Supreme Lord. So Shiva is saying, if you want to fully please me, then worship Govinda. Yeah. So if Shiva is saying you can worship him. The Vedas said that you can worship him. But time is running out. I can give you plenty katha about Shiva and how great he is, the greatest devotee of Krishna. So therefore, one who approached Shiva directly and sincerely prayed to Shiva for 6 months without asking for any material benefit, gain or happiness, he takes you directly to the lotus feet of Krishna. You see? So that's why he said, don't let the Maya cover our eyes. But how can we get rid of cataract from our eyes? The expert physician has to take out that cataract. So this is where we need a bona fide guru. So when you arm yourself with the intelligence, then no one will be able to cheat you. And I will now end the class with our closing prayer. And